record because this is a rant I need to record. You are at the end of your third quarter, about a week away, and it's a messy week at that because next week, as Monday is normal operating procedure, Tuesday is a junior only day. A reminder that next Tuesday is the day you are all coming in to take your free ACT administration. So please make sure that you are planning accordingly to come in next Tuesday to take your ACT. Make sure that you're trying to get on schedule. It'd be a very good week to try and get on schedule where maybe you're getting to bed at a normal hour and getting up at a fairly decent hour. That way you're not falling asleep while you're trying to take the ACT next Tuesday. But because of that, we will not have a normal day of school. Wednesday, the staff is getting their second round of vaccinations, which means again, that's another day that is going to be kind of screwy. Ficker and I will let you know about what the plan is when it comes to remote learning that day, because it just kind of depends on what the schedule of vaccination will look like. We think it's going to look the same way, but the district has a tendency to say, surprise, things changed again, and we'll kind of be flying by the seat of our pants again. But we'll try and let you know as soon as possible what the game plan is next Wednesday. Now, next Wednesday is when your project is due, and a lot of you have been kind of asking questions as to what that looks like. That's my job today, is to make sure you understand how this project looks. Now, the reason that this is such an important thing is next Thursday is the last day of the third quarter, but because the staff is going to be recovering from their second round of vaccine, we will not have school that day. We will not be in school. Now, I will be on email at least on Thursday, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be a regular day for us either, because if the vaccine knocks Ficker and me for a loop, then it may be a little rough on us to like keep up to date on any last minute issues when it comes to grades. So this is a very important week for you guys to get things done early, because you cannot depend on Ficker and me on Thursday and Friday of next week to, handle your emergency situation when it comes to grading, because we may not be feeling all that well. Trust me, Ficker does not have a great track record of vaccinations. So I'm telling you right now, folks, you're going to need to be on your game here and finish things up. And I will present to you exactly what the expectations are when it comes to this final project for the third quarter. Then we transition over to the fourth quarter after that. But like I said, next week is a really messy week. So it's kind of going to be hit or miss as to whether or not we're going to be available to you. And again, we'll be available to you early next week without question, but later on in the week, we may not. So it's very important for you to use the next couple of days and early next week to complete this assignment and to complete it on time, so that you're not sitting there with a major issue going in to the final couple of days of the quarter, if you will. So please, please, please. And again, I reiterate, a lot of the assignments that some of you are missing are still open on Google Classroom. Check your progress book as to what you're missing. Go in, get those assignments done, turn them in, and we will get them graded and turned in. But I promise you, Ficker and I, next Thursday, will start closing out a lot of those assignments, because we're not grading something from January in early March. We've given you long enough to kind of get caught up. Some of you have utilized the extra time and done very well. Others, you're still sitting at a 30% because for whatever reason, you're just not logging in to do the work. So please don't be the student. And I had a student yesterday reach out. Oh, what are the list of things I need to do to raise my grade? They haven't done anything. They have a 0%. I basically told them to log into Google Classroom, throw a dart, and do one of them. Like any of them, get a start. I don't care. So they're all open. Please make sure that you are logging on and doing the work that is still available to you. Okay. Now, the final grade of the third quarter is the presidential campaign project. And I'm going to share my screen real quick with you guys and go through this, and then I'll certainly take questions. But if you looked on Google Classroom, you had this assignment right here under March 3rd through 10th. I posted this last night. This is your actual assignment. Now, you will notice that there are links in here. There's the link to the Zoom meeting, which you're currently on. So after we're done with the Zoom meeting, this is now no longer necessary. But there are links to the sheets, the Google Sheets that kind of told you who has what jobs. Now, I color coded this to Ficker's students and my students. My students are in yellow, Ficker's students are in red. Somebody reached out and said, is there a reason my name's red? I'm nervous. Like, no, you're fine. Those are just the colors I used. Okay. I brought this up to kind of show you that these are the people that are doing the jobs within these campaigns. So these are technically your group members. Now, starting off here, let's just point out that Joe Biden's campaign here has a campaign pamphlet or flyer being done by N. Roberts, who is a Ficker student. T. Roberts is doing the campaign swag, another Ficker student. R. Zanders is doing the stump speech. Jay Martin, one of my students, is doing a website design. Faith is doing the Electoral College map for Joe Biden. Jay Thompson is doing the wardrobe, and T. Montgomery is doing the debate prep. Now, you may not know these people at all, but you do have their last name and their first initial, which is all you need to find their email address and to set up a meeting if you choose to do so. So if you're kind of like, you know what, I want to have a meeting where we kind of go over, hey, what are our colors going to be? What's maybe our campaign slogan going to be? Especially if you're doing a pamphlet and you're doing a website and you're doing the debate prep, you may want to talk about, well, what are our stances on the issues? What are we talking about as a campaign? What do we want Joe Biden to say in his campaign in 2024. So you're kind of going through that. You can have those meetings. You can do this all by yourself too. If you're just like, you know what, I'm just going to kind of do my own thing. I know what I'm doing. I don't really need help from others. But again, this is offered up to you to where you have their last name and the first initial to where you can reach out and say, hey, I'm in the group with you. What do you say we do a meeting on Friday at 11 a.m.? And maybe somebody gets back to you and says, hey, that's when I have lunch because I'm in person, or hey, I have to work. So maybe reach out to your group members and say, what time works? What time do you guys want to get on Zoom? It's not a requirement. You don't have to do a Zoom, but it's a good idea to kind of set up your own little meeting. You can do it in Google Meet as well, which means you don't have to step outside of the Google Suite that you use for your class. And form your own account or anything like that. You can kind of do it however you want. Some of you are also in cohorts right now. I know that Mr. Johnson's cohort basically decided to do their own thing. They're listed down here. So Chapman, McLean, and Webster are all working together because they're in the same cohort. They just decided, hey, instead of doing an online meeting, we're in person. We might as well actually have a meeting together. And then the teacher just emails me and said, hey, they had a meeting. That is an extra credit thing. You don't have to have a meeting if you don't want to. If you choose to have one, that is entirely up to you. Okay. But this is just giving you your theoretical group members that if we were in person, this is who you'd be working with in the class. Okay. And it doesn't matter if you have Ficker or me for class, we're all doing the same assignment. Now, what are the assignments? You notice under the assignment, you have the rubrics. Now, you've already chosen what job you're going to do. Now, the rubrics are giving you an idea of how many points you're getting for each little, campaign job, if you will, and each little section. So, for example, if you're doing the pamphlet or the flyer, this is the trifold piece of paper that you would hand out to people at political rallies. Okay. It's divided into 6 sections. It's clearly marked and colorful. If you do that, it's 10 points. It has an introductory section with the name of the candidate and a picture of the candidate. If you do that, it's 20 points. Background and candidate section, that's where you do research into who they are, where they're from, what their family life and situation are. That if you do that, again, another 20 points. Plan for their major issues. So, for example, Obama came in and had the Affordable Care Act to handle a healthcare issue. Trump wanted to build a wall. So, what are their major plans? What's their vision of here's something this is my major issue and this is how I'm going to handle it. There are also a section of 3 other major issues. So, for example, Trump may have wanted to build a wall, but he also had other issues that he wanted to tackle. He was big into reversing the healthcare that Obama had put in place. He was big into, putting America first when it comes to foreign policy. He was big into tax cuts for the American people and making the tax code a little bit simpler than what it was. So you can certainly go into all manner of different issues that they believe in, and you can very easily look a lot of these up especially since many of the people on this list have, if not run for the presidency, and many of them have before. Many of them have their campaign websites up for when they were running for the Senate or for a governor or for whatever job they currently have. So you should be able to find some of their stances on these issues. Governmental service, what did they do in government before running for the president? Overall vision of America. This is, again, this is where you can kind of play up whatever your campaign slogan is going to be if you wanted to invent one. Because remember, Obama was big into hope. Trump was make America great again. The overall vision for America, what are they really saying? What's the big overarching theme of what they want to present for America, and why? Why should someone vote for them? And then the overall structure and color scheme is organized, quality in nature, and has a professional tone. If it looks like a third grader did it with finger paint, then it's probably not going to get the points in this section. But if it looks like you took some time and you tried to make it as organized, and it doesn't have to be professional completely, but it has to look like you took some time and effort on it and didn't just throw it together last minute. So again, all of these point values over here in the rubric add up to 150 total points, but it gives you a step-by-step kind of explanation of what you need to have in your pamphlet. And you will notice the introductory section, background, plan, 3 major issues, governmental service, and overall vision. That's 6 different sections right here. Okay. These 6 sections are what you have to have in your actual pamphlet. The first and the last one here are just merely overall structure, that you're organized, that you're doing what you're supposed to do across the 6 sections. Okay. Campaign swag, you got to make a political sign. If your job is to make a political sign and other swag, and this is where we get the term swag from. These are things that are handed out by the campaign to their supporters to help spread the message, if you will. The political sign would look like what you would typically see in a yard sign, okay, or a sign that they would hold up at a political rally. It should have the candidate's name and a clear color scheme. Keep it simple. There is an extra credit for this person if you want to name a vice presidential candidate that makes sense. So if you remember, Biden ran with Kamala Harris, Trump ran with Pence. Do you have somebody in the political party that if your candidate was to be the nominee for your party, who would they run with? Who's somebody in the political party that maybe would run as a vice presidential candidate that would make sense? Now, if this is too complex, again, you don't have to do that. It can just be very simple and straightforward. Okay. Your second thing is you have to make a sticker or a button. It doesn't actually have to be a sticker or a button. Like you don't have to make a bumper sticker. You can make the template. So you're kind of showing me what would, here is my bumper sticker. This is what it would look like. Again, it doesn't have to be something you peel off and stick on. But the design should be similar in presentation and color of the political sign. So if your political campaign colors are red, blue, and gold, then it should be all the way through your swag too. It should be consistent. You shouldn't have one that's purple, green, and fuchsia. Like they all should be somewhat the same. You can add some colors here and there, but try and keep it as uniform as you possibly can. Your t-shirt, again, also similar to the previous items, but doesn't need to be a physical t-shirt. Like I said, you can draw one out. And again, it should kind of keep the same tone as your other swag. And accessory, you're just being creative. What else would you maybe hand out to people at a political rally to convince people to kind of join in and support your candidate? So what thing would you hand out? And I give you examples like, a hat, bracelet, hair tie. We're in the age of COVID. Would you hand out masks? Things like that. Anything else that you may hand out at a political rally. And again, that can just be a drawing of what it would look like. And again, all items are high quality. You at least have to be somewhat artistic to do this. And again, color scheme, design, and overall presentation should be somewhat uniform. So that's what you're getting graded on when it comes to the campaign swag. If you choose to do the stump speech, that should be typed out, okay? And you'll notice the very bottom here is appropriate length, 1 to 2 full pages. It should be 10-point font, Arial font, and 2 times spacing. So you can have double spaced lines. Okay. But again, it should be a full 1 to 2 pages. If you turn it in and it's just a paragraph and it barely takes up a page and you put it in size 18 font, then you're going to lose a lot of points here. You're going to lose that section because you didn't follow directions. But the stump speech should be typed out. It should show that you did some research on the candidate, that you know who your candidate is. And somebody did ask a question, should this be in a first person narrative? Yes, if you are doing the stump speech for Joe Biden, you should be writing it like Joe Biden is reading it. So you are allowed to say, I did this and I did that. Because again, you may be writing it, but Joe Biden's going to be giving it. Okay. So when you write it, think about how your candidate would be saying this as if the campaign is saying it, because they are. Okay. But you're going to do research into the life and background of the candidate. You're going to do at least 3 issues, which means you may want to work with the person doing the campaign flyer, because you may want to have the exact same 3 issues. Again, this is why that meeting would help. The overall vision, again, this may be very similar to what the campaign flyer person is talking about. You guys can divvy up the research and work together if you wanted to. And there are other sections that'll need your help as well. So again, meetings do help, but they're not required. Okay. You're going to talk about, why are we electing them as the president? Why are they going to be a good president? And then the speech should directly address the supporters of the candidate. So again, like I said, it should be in the first person, and the speech should be acting like you are talking to a group of supporters. And it should be organized in content. Okay. So again, you can kind of read, I don't want to read directly to you on all these, but this is kind of what the basics of the actual job are. 1 to 2 pages that attacks all these different issues right in through here, and then it's organized in the content. Website design, again, you may want to work directly with a campaign flyer person, because again, your main page, your background, your plan, your 3 major issues, your governmental service, very similar. Overall vision, you should have links. The only thing that is different with the website design is that you have to have a campaign store where you're selling the t-shirts, the signs, the buttons, and accessories. And if you're working in a group, you may be able to get your swag person to give you some pictures of what they're drawing, to where you can put those in the website. Now, again, this does not have to be a working website. This can be a template that you design in Google Slides. Now, if you just put together a slideshow, though, and it doesn't look like an actual website, you know what a website should look like. Every slide should look like, hey, when I click on this, it goes to this. When I click on this, it goes to this, and it should be clearly presented, and it should have visuals. It should have detailed messaging. You should really be trying to put in the full effort. Now, if you want to go on Wix and actually try and make a website, you can certainly do that. Some of you are well versed in that. Some of you are a little bit more techie than others, but again, we're more concerned about the content than whether or not the actual website works. So all of this content needs to be in there, and you can read through and see kind of what content you need to put in there. But make sure you have this all present on your website. And again, it doesn't have to be a workable website. I cannot stress that enough, but it does need to look like it could be a website. Okay. If you're doing the electoral college map, this is a little bit more mathematical. It's a little bit more, if you're kind of one of those people that really likes to kind of play with numbers a little bit, this may have been the job that you chose. A number of you did. You have to do a detailed map. Now, you can print off an electoral college map and color it by hand. You can go on 270towin.com and make your own and then screenshot it. Okay. But you need to color code it based upon 4 different areas. States that you're guaranteed to win due to your political party. So if your person is a Democrat, you may want to say, my dark blue are the ones we're going to win no matter what. So for example, if you're the Democrat, you're probably going to win California. Okay. So you can chalk that one up. And 270towin.com actually has different maps on there that you can toggle back and forth and use to show which states haven't changed in the last 4 or 5 different presidential campaigns. That means that those states are always going to be Democrat or always going to be Republican based upon history, based upon trends. So these are the states that you're guaranteed to win because you're of your political party. If you're a Republican, then the Dakotas are definitely going to be red, because the Dakotas are very conservative and very Republican. So you can easily chalk those up into the victory column because those don't change. Excuse me. Now, you are also going to color code states that the candidate must win. These are the states that you think, all right, we think we're going to win them, but it's not a slam dunk. So we're going to have to spend a little bit of time and effort in those states. So these might be states that traditionally the state, for example, the Republicans typically win Florida. In the last few presidential elections, they've won Florida. Okay. So you can say if your candidate is a Republican, we think we're going to win Florida. We think it's pretty comfortable, but we're still going to have to spend some time there to make sure. Okay. So you're going to color code the states that you must win, the ones that if you lost those states, there's no way you're going to win the presidency. And then the third one for you is the swing states, the ones that are 50-50, could go either way. So for example, Pennsylvania has been a swing state recently where Trump won it in 2016, but Biden won it in 2020. That's going to be a state that people are going to look at in 2024 with a lot of interest. Georgia is going to be another one because Georgia just swung this time for Biden and it hadn't swung for years. It used to be a very solid conservative state. This is no longer the case. It has changed. So you may say, you know what, those are our swing states. Those are the ones that could go either way that we're going to spend our most time and effort and money in to make sure that we win those. And then you're going to kind of tell me which are the states that you're just kind of saying, you know what, no matter what we do, we're not going to win them. So it's just the opposite. If you're a Democrat, there's no way you're winning the Dakotas. If you're a Republican, no way you're winning California. Okay. And you're going to color code those as well. And you can color code them. If you're a Democrat, you can color code the ones you're not going to win red because you know that those are going to be conservative. All right. So again, you can hand do it. If you want to print off a copy of the Electoral College map and color code it, that's fine. There are plenty of them on Google Images that you can find to download and to print off. Or you can do, like I said, a digital version on 270towin.com. Then you're going to tabulate your states. You're going to chalk up how many states you won. You're going to show me how you get to 270 Electoral College votes, if you will. So show me the math. Okay, this can be typed out in Google Docs. You can just write it out on a sheet of paper and take a picture of it and turn it in that way. And then you should have a written out justification of your campaign strategy. This can be just as simple as saying, hey, after we get the states that we must win and the states that we're guaranteed to win, here's how we're going to win the swing states. So you can literally say our 3 swing states are Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Michigan, and here are the issues we're going to focus on, and here's how much time we're going to spend in those states to make sure that we win those states. So you're just kind of talking me through. It doesn't have to be super long, but it has to be enough to explain what your strategy is going to be in order to get pretty decent credit in that area. So that's kind of how you do this. It's a visual. So this first part right here, this block right here is all visual. Your color coding. But this is where you're actually going to explain it. Okay. And if it's not explained properly, it's going to really hinder your ability to get full credit. So try your best to make sure everything makes sense. Okay. The wardrobe, if you choose to do the wardrobe, you are giving me 4 different outfits, and these have to be sketched out. These cannot be, well, I found some Google images. These are sketches, which means you have to be somewhat artistic. You're going to sketch out what they're going to wear to these 4 different events, what they're going to wear to a formal dinner or formal fundraiser, what they're going to wear to a campaign event, what they're going to wear to a debate, and what they're going to wear to a casual event, like a golf outing, picnic, baseball or basketball game. What are they wearing to these things? And you're going to sketch out their actual wardrobe, and this should be detailed. We're going to be looking at what designs did you use. Okay, so you're looking at a design, and I have to switch the point totals. My apologies, my point totals are off. I meant to go back and fix that. So all of these should be 25 right here. Each sketch is worth 25 points, and the detailed explanation is worth 50. I'll go back and fix that. But bottom line is, you're giving me a detailed explanation of, why these outfits are designed the way you did. What accessories did you put in? What color schemes did you put in, and why? So why did you make them look the way they did? Okay. And again, I'll go back and fix this, but just so we're clear, 25 points for each of the wardrobes. And then a detailed explanation should be 50 points. So it should be written out and address all the outfits. And then finally, the debate prep. There is a list of questions, and I will send these directly to the people that have decided to do the debate. Here are the 15 questions. I'm going to give this to you directly. You are to go through and do some research on these different questions and basically tell me how your candidate would answer these questions. If they were asked these questions in a debate, what would be their quick answer to this? So we're talking about 3 sentences at least for each one of these, if not more, where you're going to tell me what their stance is, why they believe what they believe, and kind of really kind of go into detail, if you will. I know you can't get into a huge amount of detail, but in the directions, it tells you to answer each of the following questions with at least 3 sentences that clearly answers the question, addresses the issue involved, and provides a stance. Okay, so you're going to tell me, so for example, with the current push for the Green New Deal and other plans for dealing with climate change, you may have to look up what the Green New Deal is in order to answer the question. And the first sentence may be, my candidate believes that the Green New Deal, which is the plan of, and keep moving on with it. This has been pushed by people like AOC. So obviously, if your candidate is AOC, you're going to be really big on this issue. So again, you're kind of showing me that you understand the issue, you understand where your candidate would be on the issue, and explain why. Okay. And again, that should be 3 sentences at least for each one of these. Now, again, how did you get placed? You all should have, and not everybody on this call has, filled out the Presidential Campaign Project questionnaire, where you went through and told me the 3 different jobs that you wanted to do, and you told me which candidates you were willing to work for. And there was a whole list. Now, if you haven't done that yet, if you're not one of the 56 strong that have already filled this out and gotten their name on this spreadsheet here, then you need to do that today. You need to do that right now. As soon as we end this Zoom call, that's kind of what you need to get done here, because your name needs to be on this list in one of these groups. Okay. Now, again, some of you are in groups that don't have anybody else with you. You chose a candidate that wasn't exactly the most popular, which is totally fine. You can do this by yourself. You don't need a group to get a grade. The grade is all individually based. So, for example, when I was talking about, the Joe Biden group up here, and I'll pick on Faith because I know she's on the call. Faith is doing the Electoral College map. Faith can do the Electoral College map all by herself. She does not have to talk to Montgomery, Thompson, Martin, Zanders, Roberts, or Roberts. She can do it all by herself if she chooses. It will not impact her grade one little bit. Now, if she chooses to try and actually meet with this group and set up a Google Meet or a Zoom, and they manage to get a call together, and they can kind of prove that, hey, we met at 5:00 on Friday through Zoom. Here are the people that were in attendance. There were 3 of us that met. It was Zanders, Martin, and me. And they write me an email to kind of give me an idea of what happened during the meeting. That'll be extra credit because you tried to organize. But again, it's not going to hurt you if you don't. Okay. You can do this all by yourself. You don't have to lean on anybody. So for those of you that are going to be like, oh, I can't work with Faith. I don't like, well, you don't have to work with Faith just because you're in the group. And I'm picking on you, Faith, and I apologize. But bottom line is, if you're working with this group, you don't actually physically have to work with the group. You can do your own thing. Okay. All right. Now that I've presented pretty much everything on this, I will now stop sharing and take any and all questions. And again, if your microphone is not working, you can always put it in the chat. Thanks, Colby. Paying attention in between cartoons, anyway. Okay, again, folks, you have a week. That is it to complete this assignment. All right, this is the last grade of the 3rd quarter. A reminder as well that Miss J made a extra credit assignment for you if you choose to do it. It is posted. It was posted last week, but that is also coming due next week. So you have some assignments to do. Some of you on this call haven't done assignments for the past couple of units. Those are all still available. So please make sure you log into your progress book, see what you're missing. I updated my grades yesterday. Ficker's usually pretty religious about getting his grades updated. So you should have a pretty clear understanding of where you stand in the course as of right now. But for those of you waiting to the last minute, congratulations, you're there. Okay, this is the last week. We are not going to be able, I reiterate, we are not going to be able to help you. We're not going to be present probably Wednesday and Thursday of next week to help you. So if you're going to come on at the last minute and say, I don't understand how to do the debate prep, too bad, you're on your own at that point. Because if you've been absent for, 8 weeks now, trying, on Google Classroom, Ficker and I have the right to be absent when we're not feeling very well. And like I said, Ficker doesn't have the greatest track record with vaccines, and nor do I. So we're tapping out. We're telling you Wednesday and Thursday, we're not going to be present. Okay. And Miss J may not be present either. Okay. So do realize right now, if you have questions, now is the time to ask them. For the 4 of you on this call that have yet to put in your questionnaire, you need to do that ASAP to make sure that you can get assigned to a campaign so you know what you're doing. Because there's going to be somebody, I mark my words, there will be somebody on this call that next Wednesday is going to email either Ficker or me and say, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do for the project. Nobody told me what I was doing. If you're one of those people, you're just going to take the L. You're going to take a 0 and we're moving on. I'm telling you right now, and here's the thing, out of Ficker and me, I have the bigger heart with that. I'm much more kind when it comes to last minute stuff like that. And I'm telling you, if you do that, you're screwed. Okay. I have a feeling Ficker is absolutely on the same page with me on that. So again, I say, any questions? All right, folks, I am recording this. So I have a record stating that I asked the question twice. Now, if you do have questions moving forward, that's not to say you can't ask them. You have Thursday, you have Friday, you have the weekend, and you have Monday to get all of your questions in. You even have Tuesday after you get done with your ACT to come find one of us and ask questions in person. But when it comes to Wednesday and Thursday, that's going to be a little rough next week. So please make sure if you do have questions, you ask them early and often. Mr. Ficker, Miss J, anything to add?
No.
You were very complete, Mr. V. Nice job.
I do what I can. All right, folks. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will maybe see you next week. Please pay attention to Google Classroom about whether or not we have a Zoom next week at all. Other than that, have a great day.